In today's Leeds news, Tyler Adams' AC Milan link, Weston McKennie distances himself from comments, and last night's match review. Hey folks, Jer here at The View on Wednesday morning, the 26th of April. Hope you all have a really good day. So far, not a great result last night in the grand scheme of things. Some highs, some lows, the usual, I suppose. And we'll get to that and how we're going to do today's videos. We will start off with the news, which is mostly just two main stories. And then what we'll do is we'll break towards the back end of that and we'll do the review after. So again, as per usual, if you want to see the news, you'll get that first. You can stick around. If you want to hang around till the end for the review of the match, we'll do it in a short amount of time as we can as well. So we'll crack on and we'll start with the news. Okay, so starting off then, Tyler Adams has been linked with a move to AC Milan, according to Italian outfit Pianeta Milan. What they are saying is that the Italian Giants are very interested in signing the Leeds United midfielder. Adams had a fantastic season for Leeds this year, up until a hamstring injury curtailed the remainder of the season for him and pretty much left Leeds with a huge hole to fill. They may need to look at filling that on a much longer scale, as Milan are very, very interested in the player and not just in a situation where if Leeds get relegated. What the report claims that AC Milan are very interested in signing the player, and they may look to do it for less than Leeds initially paid. Leeds paid £15 million for Adams when they signed him from Red Bull. And if Leeds do go down, Milan will look to try and sign Adams on the cheap and try and get a discounted rate on the initial 15 million, leaving Leeds in a position where they could potentially, if they choose to go down this route, end up selling Tyler Adams at a loss, which would be a huge issue considering how well he's played and proven how well he can do in a top league in the world. So again, all depends on everything, doesn't it? Really. So we have to wait and see about that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Weston McKennie and some interesting stuff that's come out over the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of online back and forth between Weston McKennie friends, apparently, and some hardcore Leeds United fans who have butted heads quite a few times on McKennie's performances, his effort. And it's got pretty tasty at times. Yesterday, it kind of peaked. A Twitter space was held yesterday morning in which several Leeds fans, as well as a man who identifies himself as a Weston McKennie friend, were involved in it. During the space, several arguments broke out between this man and Leeds fans. And what he basically claiming is that Leeds have used Weston McKennie incorrectly, and the Weston feels the same way about it. He also insulted several of Weston McKennie's teammates. And it got pretty heated. There was a couple of people in there probably shouldn't have been in there yesterday as well. And it all just kicked off a little bit during the space. With a lot of things that shouldn't have been said that were said, and unfortunately, it has come to the attention of Leeds United themselves. And Weston McKennie has found himself in a situation where he has had to come out on Instagram today and make a comment when he should have been focusing on the game last night. Instead, he was dealing with this kind of stuff going on. So Weston McKennie's friends not particularly helping his cause right now. And what has been said by Weston McKennie is the following: I just wanted to clarify that things said yesterday have not come from me. When people you know look to defend you, they generally do it from a place of love. But if I have something to say, it will come from me directly. He went on to thank the Ellen Road fans for their support last night and basically said that they're always supporting him, and finished off with a marching on together. This is the kind of stuff Leeds don't need right now. And Weston McKennie's fans, if they are doing this from a place of love, need to back off a little bit and let the player focus on his playing and keep the fans off his back. Getting involved in this kind of stuff just brings more attention and more heat towards Weston McKennie, which he doesn't need right now. And Leeds as a club don't need right now. It's unnecessary stuff going online and really should stop. But it's now taking a distractive turn away from football. You know, our players should be focused on the game yesterday. Apparently, there was conversations in Ellen Road yesterday between Weston McKennie, social media team, and some of the lead people in Leeds about this. And Weston McKennie had to come out and defend himself, which he really shouldn't have to do at this stage. So, a bit of a mess. Everyone is getting involved in this. It's just a bit of a mess and needs to kind of just be put to bed. People are entitled to their opinion on players by all accounts, but when other people start getting involved and it starts getting public like this, it needs to maybe just, calmer heads need to prevail, or, and back away from it. And they're pretty much the only two stories floating around today. So we're going to take a quick break here now, and then we're going to move on with the match day review. So here we go, folks, the match day review, and it's tough day at the office. Another one, I suppose. What started off well, I'll break this down, I suppose. We'll do the first half and second half. Then we'll talk about the changes. We'll talk about the incidents in the game afterwards in the second part of it. Okay, so we'll start off the first half, and if I'm being honest, I thought Leeds started really, really well. I thought I made some notes, and I think in the first 6-7 minutes of the game, I thought Leeds were a better side. Harrison's pressing was excellent. I think I wrote down it was Bielsa-esque pressing at times in the first 10 minutes. McKennie was tearing around the place as well, getting stuck into things. The game was a million miles an hour, and I think at that point I wrote that Ayling, and Cooper had and Bamford had started quite well. And then all of a sudden, Leicester score a goal. And an absolute cracker from Tielemans, which ultimately was ruled to be offside from the pass from back to him. And from Suleimani, he was offside and the goal was ruled out. Massive, massive relief for Leeds. But it kind of took the sting out of Leeds for about 10 minutes. And, Leeds had started really, really well. The tempo was good. They were creating chances. And then after that goal went in, it kind of got a bit quiet and conservative for a bit. And everyone kind of just went a bit on tenterhooks a little bit. A very clear 4-4-2 formation as well by Leeds with Rock and Bamford in front together. And I'll get to that because I think it's a really important change that happens in the game. We'll get to that in a minute. We talk about the changes and what I felt went wrong yesterday. But yeah, just great work right around the pitch. People were just tearing around the pitch. Rodrigo was like a man possessed in the first half, was treading the line very carefully between being overly physical and, passionate. There was a moments where he could have got a red or a yellow at times. So he was lucky. But the big thing was going to be that tempo was never going to be sustainable. At that level, that speed for as long as they were going wasn't going to be sustainable. 19 minutes Leeds took the lead. A beautiful ball, well-worked ball. Great pass from McKennie into the corner flag for Jack Harrison, who checks back outside and then whips the ball into the back post. And a perfectly timed run by Luis Sinisterra and a great header gives Leeds the lead. And you're thinking, this is great. This is what we deserved. We've worked for this. They've taken 20 minutes to score, but 20 minutes for Leeds have been probably the more creative team, the more hungry team to win the game. Again, after that, great pressing from Rodrigo up front. Ayling, McKennie, Jack, Rodrigo all started well, all playing really well. Rodrigo's winning the ball on our 18-yard line at one point and then breaking with it, which is just great to see. And then Sinisterra comes off on the hour mark and you're thinking, does he throw Gnonto on now? Similar kind of player. Put Somerville on. Somerville's fine. There's no issue with Somerville. He did a good game when he came in. But you kind of wanted to see, would he bring Gnonto on? And that became the story of the match, I think, as the game went on. And then yellow cards picked up in injury time in the first half by Rodrigo, which was going to have to change how he was playing in the game a little bit. I think a lot of people online were saying, he's done great. He's had a great half. Maybe we take him off now. And I was in the same. My top line for the first half was simple. It was great tackling, defending as a unit. Everyone is working hard for the defensive side of the game. Ayling, McKennie have reacted excellently to the criticisms they've got recently. So all very, very good. No issues. First half was going great. Keep it going. Keep doing exactly what we're doing. Don't drop this level off. And then the second half happened and we dropped the level off. And what seemed to happen is Leeds just seemed to start this thing that we do where we just drop and drop and drop and drop and deeper and deeper. And it fell into what looked like a mid-block. And then the change for me that completely changed the passage and the tempo of the whole game was made. And it's not a personnel one, it's a systematic one. So what happens is Rodrigo has to come off. There's no argument there. He has to come off. He's ran his race. He's done his work. Comes off for Aronson. And instead of Leeds sticking with the 4-4-2, they drop Aronson into the 10 and they go back to this 4-2-3-1 that they played against Palace, they played against Fulham, that they played against Arsenal. It's not Arsenal. They played against Liverpool. And this is the issue for me. This is where the whole game turned. Playing with the two up front was perfect because it meant that the two centre-backs for Leicester couldn't come beyond the 18-yard line before they started passing the ball in, before they started to move. So they were starting their entire passing movement much deeper in their own half. The midfielders were going to have to drop in deeper to receive the ball of centre-backs or risk, mistakes being made, which there was a few. Wingers were going to have to tuck in and drop a bit deeper as well, which they did. When we went to one up top and one in the 10, that gave one of the centre-back space. One of our strikers would press, and then the other centre-back could come out with the ball 10, 15 yards further before he was pressed by our number 10. What that meant was they were now starting their moves 10, 15 yards higher up the pitch, which meant that Leeds were now 10, 15 yards deeper in their own half. And this gave Leicester a foothold in the game for me. And this, for me, was exactly what the mistake was and exactly where everything went wrong. And the game started to turn. I think about an hour on the hour mark, Leeds can't keep sitting back like this. Historically, Leeds cannot defend a one-goal lead. They can't. The best way for Leeds to win the game is to keep pushing forward and try and score. Cooper gives a free kick away on the edge of the box. I wrote down, feels like Leicester coming into this game more and more. Somerville wins, Leeds a free kick in the corner box. Nothing happens from that. Then the change is made. And the 72nd minute, there's an absolutely massive save that comes from Milan Melier, which is a brilliant double save. But he knows an awful lot about the second part of it or not remains to be seen. But the first save's not great. It's a shot from the edge of the box. He palms it into play and not away. And he has to react then to the second one. He gets up, second shot is hit, and it hits him straight in the middle of the face. But it's a great double save. Good job, keeps Leeds in the game. But this became constant now. There was more and more chances being created. They made some changes. They brought on Vardy. Daka came on, made a huge impact, in the game as well. Tielemans was very lucky on 77 minutes for me to remain on the pitch. He's late with a tackle. He catches one of the Leeds players. He's already on a yellow card. And he gets away without it, but it's interesting. And a couple minutes later, there's a goal, counter-attack. Ironically, Leeds, who are sitting back, so they get caught on a counter-attack from one of our attacks. And then just Robin Koch fails to make a tackle. Liam Cooper gets a little bit on the ball, but there's no second player to clean it up. Goes all the way across. He switches it back in. Robin Koch gets back in a second time, misses the second tackle, and then Vardy puts it past Melier into the corner. Disappointing, but a very Leeds goal to concede. Then a couple of minutes later, they score again. Ruled out this time, so no goal. And that was in 83 minutes. Leeds backline looked like it had just crumbled again. It was panicky. Gaps were appearing. Leeds would look very heavy-legged. There's a serious question to be asked about the conditioning of the Leeds players and the fitness level of them, whether that's a Jesse Marsh issue or whether that's a Javi Gracia issue, but there's a problem there. They don't look as fit as they were. They look tired in games. Players are not finishing out strongly enough. And then the 89th minute, so just before that, Leeds get a series of corners. Ayling wins the ball. It's deflected out, has a shot deflected. Leeds get a corner. Corner comes in. Rocky with a lovely header. And if it goes an inch left or right of the goalkeeper, it's a goal. But it goes straight off again, hits the goalkeeper in the face. It's cleared off the line. There's another shot comes in, another corner. This corner comes in, it's flicked on the near post. And Pat Bamford standing on the back post, unmarked, with an open goal, manages to kick the ball with his right foot, which we know that's like off his left foot and wide instead of into the empty net, which would have given Leeds win. That was the 89th minute. A huge chance to win the game. But not for me. Bamford's miss is not the reason. It was a tactical change from a 4-4-2 to a 4-5-1. Dropping that player out just gave Leicester far more impetus to push forward in their own half, give them far more space and freedom to create moves from a deeper, earlier position. So for me, that's the change that went wrong. That's the mistake that Leeds made. And that's the mistake that turned the whole game. On the Willie Gnonto changes then, what's interesting with this is, what's come out is when the fans started singing make a sub, he couldn't. Because the rule states that you can make 5 changes in 3 opportunities. Because Sinister had gone off in the first half, that was 1. Then he made the ones in the second half early on. That was 2 and 3. He then couldn't make any more changes between then and the end of the game because he had made his change. He'd used his 3 opportunities essentially. It's not 5 changes at any point in the game. It's 5 changes in 3 opportunities. So he missed that opportunity, unfortunately. And because of that, there was no Willie Gnonto in the park. But where he has said before that he is protecting Willie because of the injury he had, someone needs to come out and say, is Willie Gnonto fit or is he not fit? We've seen Leeds put players on the bench before who weren't fit. Cooper earlier on in the season, Vogel for a degree against Fulham as well. Not against Fulham, sorry, against Liverpool. So we have seen this be done before, but he needs to come out. I know he doesn't like talking about injuries, but he's bringing unnecessary attention and heat on himself by not playing Willie Gnonto or not explaining why Willie Gnonto isn't playing. Now, what he did say after the game was that all the players are playing well in training and that no one player is more special than the other. And that might be the case. That might be the right thing to say. However, Willie Gnonto is probably one of our most creative players. He scored goals. He's got assists. He makes a difference in the game. So might be not any more special than players, but in a certain moment in a game can certainly make a bigger impact than certain players could at that point and needed changing. But it really is a game of 2 halves again. We're back to the situation where Leeds start great, have a really good first half, and then just the second half to just drop into their shell, and ultimately we end up conceding and we end up dropping 2 points for me. So it's going to be tough to see Leeds come back from this. It makes Bournemouth game of the weekend a must-win game. But even at that, you're going to rely on Forest, Leicester, Everton and Southampton to lose most of their remaining games of the season and not pick up any points because there's so few points in this. And seeing where Leeds are going to get points to now at the end of the season it looks tough. I mean, you might get a point against West Ham away, you might get a result there, you might nick something against Newcastle at home, maybe, and you might get something against Bournemouth, but you really are leaving it to chance. Now, we said it coming into the game that April was going to be a huge month for Leeds, and that for me, the 3 games of Fulham, last night's game, against Leicester and Bournemouth were going to be the 3 games that defined Leeds season, and unfortunately we've picked up 1 point from 2 of those games so far. 9 points would have had us safe. 3, 4, 5 points might have kept us safe as well. But right now we're on 1, and there's a big result needed against Bournemouth and big performance. And Javi cannot go into that game with this conservative formations, conservative style that he's been playing recently. Leeds need to go for it. Leeds' best way of winning games is attack. Whether we concede 4 or 5 goals, the best way for us to try and win the game is trying to outscore a team right now. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. His defense is not capable of keeping a clean sheet, and they've proven that. So a couple of calls yesterday weren't right for me. I didn't agree with the starting 11, but they played well in the first half. You've got to give them credit for that, and I do. The change in shape was the one for me. That is the number one reason for me why we lost that game. But there you go, folks. That's it for today. Back tomorrow morning with, I'm sure, more fallout from last night and some other news that's floating around. As you can see, all the transfer news has become players leaving Leeds and not coming into Leeds, which is unfortunately an issue of where we are at the table. But that's it. Look, as always, thanks for watching the channel. If you like the channel and you want to help us out, you can support us by subscribing and liking the videos. And I'll see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. See you then. Bye.